Hello, guys, and welcome to the Move, Sweat and Suffer podcast with myself, Lee Hazard, aka Strong and Conditioned, and the Move, Sweat and Suffer co founder, Mr. Consistency himself, with the best kept haircut in the Burpee community, the one and only Joe Hotai. How you doing, Joe?
I'm good, brother. Thank you. That was really, really smooth. People have been saying you were quite the good host the last time, so thank you.
Yeah, I've been reading these comments and they've I'm buoyed in confidence, as one would say.
That's good.
So
That's good.
so I was
No,
looking forward
very well.
to the introduction this week. I'm not going to lie.
Excellent, excellent. But yeah, no, I'm feeling a lot better than the last sort of 48 hours, which is good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yourself?
you're looking. I'm good, mate. I'm good, but you're looking very fresh faced today. I can
Yeah.
see that cold has
Yeah.
decided to leave your body.
Yeah, it's leaving. It's just been a bit of a cough lately, but yeah, body feels good. So yeah, feeling a lot fresher, put it that way. I
Yeah,
think the sweat definitely helps. Just sweating out whatever some of that bug was is good. Man flu, we'll call it.
yeah. I'm wondering how my immune system would have handled that cold.
Mate, you would have died. You'd have still been there. Poor Michaela would have been messaging saying he's in hospital. He's like got IVs coming out all his arms, up his nose,
Yeah,
everywhere. Yeah, you
uh,
would have.
not even a hospital, probably a hospice where you go to die.
Yeah, yeah, he's in the hospice now. He's been admitted into the hospice. Yeah.
Terminal man flu. It's actually a bit sick.
Were you
Pardon the
on
pun.
Christmas?
No, I wasn't sick. I said that like
Oh,
saying a hospice is a bit sick because it's quite serious business. That so
yeah, but yeah, some truth to it. I
yeah.
admire.
So anyway, Joe, like well, I'm still reeling from our last chat when you indulged in your life
Hothead.
story. It was yeah, hothead hotai. What a story.
Yeah, divulge some of the information, eh? But yeah, no, I mean, you asked the question. I don't mind speaking about it. It's stuff that's happened in the past, and as long as I can try to learn from that, and if it helps somebody else learn from whatever's in there for them, then that's great.
Yeah, there was a lot of good feedback. I knew that it would get good feedback. A lot of people were saying it was the best podcast yet.
Yeah, that was a surprise.
Absolutely.
Very humbling, but yeah, yeah, it's good to read the feedback, see the feedback.
You're a very humble man, Joe, I must admit.
Thank you.
Right, Joe. Anyway, let's cut to the chase. Burpees.
Yeah,
Let's let's give
burpees.
let's give the people what they actually want. Burpees.
Yeah, yeah. Instead of being diverted and distracted. What
Right.
about burpees?
Right. Okay. Let's start with your fitness background pre burpees. Let's get a wee sort
Yep,
of idea on your approach to fitness before you found the burpee.
yep.
Can you give us a wee sort of backstory as to how?
Yeah, yeah. So my well, the backstory was pretty basic. It was just involved running and mostly body weight stuff. So a lot of push-ups and stuff like that. To be fair, I didn't do a lot of squats at the time. I was just running and yeah, and basic push-ups. That was my limited knowledge of it. I never did any bodybuilding or anything like that, and I did those because I knew that. I think I alluded to it in the first one. I was going to need to be able to do that sort of stuff, I thought anyway, in the army. So running would give me somewhat of a reasonably good base, although I've never been a good runner, still not a good runner. Um, and it was one of those things that I really didn't like, but I knew I needed to do. So I just did it. And then once I got into the army, fast forwarding, yeah, you discover a whole bunch of different exercises and movements and tools of torture. I guess the PTIs, the physical training instructors would use to try to help build some character, so to speak. So we'd do those. Burpees was quite a common thing to use in the military anyway, but it was also pre that when we caught up with Elijah, you got burpees as punishments in school and that sort of stuff in sports and those sorts of things. But in the army, it seemed to be more of a regular thing that happened just as part of PT, just like much like star jumps or jumping jacks, whatever people want to call them. Um, and obviously push-ups were a big part of that, and running. So there was familiarity there for me in terms of a couple of the things that I was doing. But then when you started including chucking loaded packs and your webbing and carrying your rifle, and then having to carry your mate and fireman's carries and doing rope climbs and obstacle courses and that sort of stuff, all of that was quite new to me. But I found that I really loved it. It was very challenging for me, especially when you've got stretcher carries and you're having to carry whatever the object or your teammate is, or whoever your teammate is, sorry, to get through those things. It just started to make, for me anyway, the job that was going to be included in my fitness journey sort of more real. And I found I really enjoyed it. As difficult as it was in those moments, I just really enjoyed that stuff. Then started to discover that there was this thing called bodybuilding, and people were, doing chest and tries one day and back and bis another day, and for some reason legs was usually skipped. So the people that I was around, and I could understand why. I was like, yeah, okay, once I got into doing that sort of stuff, I was like, oh, no wonder they skip leg day. But I was like, man, I need to work legs, because I don't know if my legs are going to be strong enough to carry me through what I wanted to do. So I tried to make sure that I did legs. Yeah, but then realized that wasn't ideal for later on, wasn't going to be ideal for what I wanted to do. So yeah, I guess that's as brief as I can make it, a background into my journey. And then training wise, and then burpees, yeah, burpees has sort of always been there. Training has always been there. So I've always made it a point of training each day, not just physically, but more so mentally for me. It's a good release. It's a good outlet. It's a good opportunity for me to just be in my own head. And then I find skipping right forward to burpees now, it's just a good, again, another good space for me to be in my own head for sometimes a long period of time, or sometimes a shorter period of time, depending on what it is that I'm going to do, or sometimes depending on how I'm feeling. If work's been challenging or difficult, then sometimes I might prefer to do a longer session, just so all I'm thinking about is the next rep, or the next 5 reps, or the next 10 reps, however I need to break that down to get through it, rather than thinking about a whole bunch of other stuff that's outside my control. And then usually when I've done that, I feel better and fresh, and my mind feels clearer, probably because I haven't had it clogged up with all that gunk for that period of time. And then I'm just able to reset and then get back into things a bit better, which has been nice.
So just I'm going to backtrack a little bit. When you said you
Mm,
were in the army, how
yeah.
like what type of condition did the army get you into? Like, would you say that was probably one of the fittest points you've ever, like the fittest you've ever been in your life, or and how is it comparable to nowadays?
Mm. Yeah, this is a great question. Yeah, in all honesty, yeah, would have been just prior to doing the New Zealand SAS selection, would have been the fittest, the strongest that I've ever felt, prior to going on to that. Can't say I really felt the fittest or the strongest going into the Australian one, largely because I already sort of had an idea of what was going to be coming up, and I was more aware of my body and what I was capable of doing, and I knew how to pace myself better. Whereas when I was going through for the first time, I had no idea. I sort of knew to keep something in reserve, but at the same time, I didn't want to be dead last, and I didn't want to be right at the front. So you don't want to be at either end of the extremities of that sort of cohort, or that group, or that course. But yeah, certainly coming back to your question, it definitely helped me get to the fittest points that I felt anyway. Whether that's true today or not, I sort of question that, because although physically I was probably, or not probably, I was capable of moving quicker, and probably maybe moving yeah, I don't know if I was able to move better, because I wasn't doing things like Olympic lifts and I didn't have that sort of mobility in my shoulders and my back and my legs and my hips and my knees and all that sort of thing until later on. But I definitely felt like I could move quicker. Like running was a big part. Being able to carry a pack was a big part of the role. So I felt very, very capable and confident in my abilities to be able to do what was required of that job. But then I guess coming out, and let me know if I'm going off track here from what you want to know, but then moving away from that, and particularly being out of the army, it's like, well, I don't need to carry a 60 plus kilo pack on my back anymore, day in, day out, up these big hills. Like, what am I doing now? What's the next challenge? So I always knew that exercise, I needed to keep exercising for me, because it just became a habit. Like, you'd rock up for roll call in the morning, you'd do the roll call, you get an inspection, and then it's PT. You have to go get smashed by the physical training instructors, and then you go get cleaned up after that, get dress of the day, and then you're drawing weapons, packs, and all that sort of stuff. And then usually there's PT again in the afternoon. So it just became, okay, morning, evening, morning, evening. There's always exercise to do. And for the most part, I just kept that routine because it was something that I was familiar with, and something that I knew helped me go through my day, but also helped me mentally, and yeah, just help me unwind at the end of the day as well. As weird as that might sound, some people when they exercise they feel more awake, but I guess my body was just used to doing that, some sort of physical movement, sweating and stuff in the evening, which helped me, at least anyway, relax and feel like I've earned my dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what recovery strategies would you have utilised during that point? Like, if you were smashing 2 sessions a day?
Yeah. Well, good question. There was my recovery wasn't any of that stuff. We weren't taught it either. So we weren't, it wasn't something that was spoken to us about by the physical training instructors or by our sergeants and stuff in the military. I think we were just sort of left, well, I know for me anyway, we're just left to our own devices. Like, you train, work, train, and for the most part, a lot of times guys didn't need to train in the evening. So a lot of that stuff was self driven. So I would see, and I was just lucky, I was surrounded by guys that were quite self-driven, even in the infantry. Very, very fit people that I looked up to. And just on that point, like, I felt like everybody that I was surrounded with was just so much fitter, faster, stronger than me. And I wanted to have a bit of, as you would say, I wanted a bit of that pie. Like, I wanted to, I wanted to be like them. The guys that I saw in battalion, then the guys that I saw in the SAS, I was like, far out. This is just next level. These guys just continually training, or looking to get better and improve, and that just really inspired me. And so, yeah, so then I would, and then things started happening. So I'll just go back slightly. That we'd have the morning and then the evening, but then there was this thing called lunchtime circuits, which used to happen, and that would go for about 45 minutes to an hour. So instead of going to the mess at lunch when I was in camp, I would go to those lunchtime sessions with my mates again, who were fitter, faster, stronger. And I thought, well, if they're always leading the pack at training, morning and evening, then this is what they're doing, well, then that's what I need to do. And I just felt that that was going to help me more prepare for selection. So recovery, I honestly had no idea about recovery. I didn't even know about, the ice baths and all that sort of stuff going through. It wasn't something that was really big or spoken about. Probably as far as recovery went, it was just make sure that you ate well and got a good night's rest. That was my limited knowledge of recovery for me.
Wouldn't you say though, right? I mean, you've actually gave me food for thought here, because I think personally that recovery is used as a comfort blanket by some people not to do the hard work, and the fact that you had no idea of recovery at that time meant that you
Mm,
had no choice but to do the hard work.
mm,
Whereas if you like had knowledge that, like the usual internet sort of stories, that you
yeah,
need to recover or this will
yeah,
happen, it lulls you into a sort of, it takes you down the wrong path and stops you from getting the results that you crave, because
yeah,
your intensity of work decreases. So we just said that lack of knowledge at that point was actually a bonus for you in
yeah, yeah.
regards to increasing your capacity to work hard.
Yeah, that's a brilliant point. I think, yeah, absolutely. I agree with you, Lee. That's a great way of looking at it. My naivety around any sort of recovery, which was limited to just eat well and have a good night's rest, I think certainly played a part, because just to your point, it's interesting. I think it would have been a heck of a lot easier had I had a bit more knowledge around recovery to just go, oh, my body's sore. I need to take a I need to take some time off. I need to have a break, or I need to skip this lunchtime circuit, or oh yeah, I'll just have a rest tonight. And so just hearing you say that, that's what was pinging off in my head. I was thinking, yeah, actually, I'm glad I didn't have that. I'm glad I was too stupid to know about recovery. But
Yeah,
people might say I'm still too stupid to be recovering now because
yeah. I think it pay like I remember Jared Miller saying something about how some of the best bodybuilders in the planet are dumb because they don't question anything, and I think it pays off to be dumb in this respect because it means that you can just apply 100% focus on the work instead
yeah,
of being sidetracked into like recovery. I mean, I
yeah.
always laugh when I'm in the gym and I see these guys like doing 50-year long warm ups and they're on a foam roller, like rolling every single muscle in their body. And then they got let's squat 60 kilograms.
build up, build up. They've built up to
Yeah,
60.
yeah. Like their warm up's longer than their actual workout. But,
Yeah,
like so,
no,
so that's very interesting, Joe, because like I've always wanted to know like the condition that guys get in the army. Guys, I
yeah.
mean, because like once again, I'm assuming that army training is cardio heavy. Was that the case?
Yeah, it was. It was certainly cardio heavy. Yeah, and even and endurance-y heavy. Particularly when endurance, when you're then whacking the pack on, and carrying some weights and needing to carry those set distances or a long distance over time. And yeah, so that was the makeup of it. And a lot of the, to be fair, a lot of the stuff like the obstacle course stuff, a lot of training like river runs and log runs and carrying logs and carrying your mates and stretchers and all that sort of stuff. Um, yeah, they were more practical or functional in terms of the military's perspective of what we would potentially encounter. A mate goes down, you've got to carry them out. You're not leaving them there. So those things came in very handy. Not pleasant when you're having to do them just in a training setting, but having done them in a training setting, if ever needing to do them in the actual setting, gave you a much better appreciation.
Yeah. So it's interesting that you've mentioned a couple of times as well, like the carries and like
Mm.
the weighted carries and loads and so forth. Would you say that rucking is probably one of the best kept secrets with regards to conditioning?
Yeah, I absolutely. I think it is, and I think that if you want to test yourself mentally, physically, and get the benefits and stuff, well, maybe not so much testing for some, depending on how they're wired, but it's a test regardless. All you need to do is just either add more weight, or you go further, or you pick the steepest, ugliest route and you and you take that route, as long as you can walk up it and it's safe-ish enough to get up there without having to actually climb proper mountain climbing or rock climbing. But yeah, definitely rucking is a fantastic tool for not only fitness, cardio, endurance, but the mental side of things as well, because especially when you start adding in tests, or not so much tests, but your own personal challenges of, I can't take this ruck off, I can't take this pack off until I complete it, or until I go for at least the next hour, then I can put it down and I can have a 5 minute break or whatever it is. Or you might just go, no, this isn't coming off. I can only rest like standing on my feet and hunched over, or I've just got to keep moving till I finish. So there's a whole bunch of different things, and your shoulders get pretty. Some of them have. And I remember times where guys and myself would have indents in your shoulders from the packs or the marks and stuff on there. But it was really satisfying to be able to complete that with a group of people that I really respected and still respect today, and just admired them for what they could do. Mm.
Yeah, it strikes me as the core training modality of the military is mental endurance.
Yeah. That certainly, yeah, that's a massive part of it. Because you don't want to be, particularly for the combat roles. And in saying that, like everybody, my wife was in the army. She was logistics. She was a clerk, but everybody's got to go through they're a soldier first, they teach you in the army, and then your core trade, whatever, second. So it's a bit easier for guys like myself that join infantry, and or they go on to the SAS to develop that mindset, because if anybody doesn't have that mindset, they're not going to get through, and you don't want to serve with them anyway. Like, you don't want to have that person next to you that's going to quit after 5-10 minutes down the track or up the hill, and or be speaking to themselves or to others going, man, this sucks, I can't do this. It's like, that's the last person you want to be around. It's like, well, piss off. go somewhere else if you're not going to do it.
Is this why your feelings get hurt when you see somebody not like finishing a burpee challenge?
No. Yes. You know what? So yeah, we'll speak about it, because I did go on a bit of a rant, didn't I? So poor old Ted Stretch. I want to salute, respect Ted Stretch. You went out there and you put yourself out there to do 500 burpees. Good on you. But mate, you frickin' peed me off no end when you stopped at 470 and you turned the camera off and you buggered off. I was like, what the hell? And I was telling Lee, for those out there, so yeah, this is probably part of that mentality. But I was telling Lee, I felt like blinking Ben Affleck off that movie, The Accountant. I have to finish. I have to finish. I have to finish. And I was like, what? Like, he's in a whole nother country. I can't grab him, and I just wanted to strangle him. It's like, you just get your butt back out there and finish those last 30. You cannot tell me you can't do 30 more. Like, just do one at a time. If it takes you another hour, 2 hours, who cares? But don't turn the camera off. Don't tell me, oh, I needed to puke and I gave it my all. You didn't give it your all, because you're still punching away on the computer and you uploaded it to YouTube. I mean, credit, yeah, and I'm going on a rant now, but credit to you for uploading it to YouTube. But bloody hell, man, don't ever tell me I couldn't do any more, and then you're sitting there punching away, typing out whatever the description is. Can't do one more. Gave it my all. Here, upload. I was like, man, I just needed to go and punch stuff. I was so angry. And yeah, just that there. I was like, bro, you just did 470. You just did 470. You telling me you can't do 30 more? And yeah, I had to puke. So what? Go puke, then get back on the camera, and then blink and do one at a time and finish those last 30. I don't want to see comments of solid work, bro. Oh, well done. You did such a great job. Blah, blah. It's like, no, tell him the truth. The guy made the wrong decision. He made the absolute wrong choice, 10 stretch, to stop at 470 and turn the camera off. Wrong choice, wrong decision. So you got the burpee community willing and urging you on. I felt, yeah, I was pissed off. I was angry.
Yeah.
What about you? Weren't you angry? Didn't you get angry?
I was absolutely livid.
Yeah, good.
Because I actually got a text from 10 Stretch during that session where he told me that he had done like 180, and he went, that's me, I can't do any more. And I just felt a wave of anger go through my body.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, dude, you've like, I know, right, listen. Like, 10 Stretches, there's a bit of naivety in the burpee game here, right? Rule number one is just don't ever broadcast your burpee routine the night before you've actually done it. Don't tell them. I'm probably setting myself up for a fall with these 2,500 burpees, right? But don't ever broadcast to the world like what you're going to do the day after, because you know this yourself. There's nothing better than sitting the night before going, I'm going to do 1,000 Navy SEALs tomorrow. Like, I'm going to do it. It's almost like a burpee fantasy playing out in your head. You get this, I get it. I'm sitting there going, like, I'm going to do this, and you're visualizing the burpees, they're clean and it's easy.
And they're fast.
And they're fast and they're smooth. It's like a Michael Jackson video. And then you get to rep 25 and you're like, shit, this is horrible. Like, why am I feeling like this? I can do 1,000 burpees and I feel like shit after 25. So I don't think he anticipated that. I think that was his first harsh lesson with regards to fantasizing about your burpee routine.
Good point.
don't ever fantasize about your burpee routine because it's not a fantasy. It's horrible and it's grisly. It's a nightmare.
Well, don't don't broadcast it like you said, like before you've done
Don't
it.
tell anybody. You're setting yourself up for a major fall. But do you know what? I know that Chris Tenchrich's real name will appreciate this. He'll particularly appreciate the Hotai tough love. Uh, but I can see, like, to go back to the original question, I can see, like, that's quite an interesting point you raised where if you're in the army, you don't want somebody to bail out on you when
Yeah.
your life could possibly depend on it.
Mm. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that obviously is something that, like, that is it's like a Hotai hallmark.
You
We're
got
being
all the
truthful.
sayings. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
do you know what? Like, like it's an interesting point when you talk about the Burpee community coming in and saying "solid work, bro,"
Mm.
all that. Because a wee thing that I can find with the Burpee community is it can be quite back rubby. They're willing to throw
Mm.
out plaudits,
Yeah. Yeah.
like, and sometimes you don't need plaudits. Shouldn't be the case.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Honest feedback.
yeah, honest feedback. Like, I don't know, man. Like, but I think that that one is effort is everything. Effort is that you are judged by your effort
Mm.
ultimately.
Mm.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right,
That's a great point.
so to go forward, right, Joe. So you've left the army, okay,
Mm.
and you've referenced before that you actually like you were involved in a gym business or the
Yeah.
running and
Yeah.
opening of a gym. So can you expand on that a wee bit?
Yeah. Definitely, yeah. That was a great time. So what had happened while when I got out, I was working in the private security sector in and out of Baghdad, as we spoke about before, primarily, and then Africa and other parts of the Middle East. Um, and we were still training, just training with guys again that were fitter, faster, stronger than me. And I was like, man, I want to be like these guys. I want to not let them down. I want to be there if they need me. And then anyway, one of the guys that it was around the time I think that movie 300 came out with Gerard Butler. Yeah, and so the guys that trained Gerard Butler and that crew, Mark Twight at Jim Jones
Yeah,
in
Jim
Utah.
Jones. Yeah.
Yeah, my mate told me about this place because and they're like, oh, you should check out this gym. So I went on the website, looked at it, black, and there's like, we have no mirrors, no comfortable place to sit. I was like, oh, this is awesome. And so it just lured me in straight away. I started reading through it. Then I read you had to apply to be able to go there. And I was like,
Yeah.
what? And so then I did. I applied. I sent in my application. They accepted it. I went there to go for a 2-day seminar. I said, can I stay for a month? Because that was the amount of time that I was going to have off. So I went pretty much from Baghdad, middle of stinking hot summer 2008. Got to Utah. This was in February 2008, middle of winter. And I rock up with shorts and t-shirts, ready to spend a month there training in Jim Jones under Mark Twight, under Rob Maximus McDonald, Johnny Kylequist, Will Bernalis, all these guys that were there that I could see they were jiu-jitsu guys and MMA guys and just real strong, fit athletes. And Mark's wife Lisa and all that sort of stuff were there as well. Amazing people, awesome people. And I went there with an intention of, because they didn't sell their stuff, right? Like their Jim Jones t-shirts, you had to earn one. And I was like, well, you can't earn one after 2 days just attending a seminar. So I was like, can I stay for a month? And they're like, yeah, you can. So I held up in a small accommodation, cheap place. And then I would travel to the gym every day and loved it. Trained with them and just took in as much as I could. And I knew before I went over that I wanted to create an invitation only type gym training facility in Australia, in Perth, where I was living at the time. And so I was honest with Mark when I got there, and partway through, probably maybe a week or two into it, I was like, man, I'd love to set up an invitation only gym, much modeled off Jim Jones in Perth, Australia, where I'm from. Would that be okay with you? Just asking his permission, basically, see if I could get his blessing for it. And he was all for it. He goes, mate, that's awesome. He goes, yeah, absolutely. And I said, obviously, we would be mentioning, which we do. It was inspired by Jim Jones and that sort of thing. But it wasn't with the intent to have actors or actresses come through. It was more just have this environment that, again, we could select our own members and we could be surrounded by people that you didn't need to be a ex special forces soldier. You didn't need to be a professional athlete. You just needed to be willing to work hard and
Yeah.
not stuff about, not come to the gym and then be on your phone for 45 minutes and train for 10 or 15. Like, there's none of that. And in order to get into our place to train, you had to go through an initiation process, a mini selection, so 6 different sessions, to test your character, to test not only a level of fitness, but also to test more so your mental resolve to stick at it, because it sucked, like the sessions that we get people to do.
Joe,
So
please tell me that re-racking the weights was one of those initiation ceremonies.
you mean putting the weights back?
Yeah.
Yeah. So all the, like, you come in, it's a warehouse, right, with rubber flooring, and then you've got weights and stuff stacked up. But yeah, everything still needed to be neat and tidy. But that aside, after getting his blessing, spending the time there, I was lucky enough to earn a t-shirt. I didn't get it till, I didn't even know, he rung the hotel that I was at, and I think it was the night before I was, oh no, 2 days before I was leaving, actually. And there was this voice message on there. I was like, oh, Mark Twite. And then he goes, hey, just want to know when you come by the gym tomorrow, because he wasn't going to be there for the last couple of days when I was flying out. He goes, oh, we just got a small gift for you when you come to the gym. Make sure you come and blah, blah, blah. Went there, and yeah, they had a t-shirt, a Jim Jones t-shirt there for me, and they gave that to me. I felt stoked. It was one of the best things. It was right up there with receiving my um, Sandy Beret and Wing Dagger, and then receiving my Jim Jones t-shirt. So those two were like, I was like, yes. But so yeah, so that then more fast forwarding, I went back, spoke with at the time 4 of some of my closest mates from the Australian Special Air Service. Said, hey bro, I'm just come back from here. I want to set up this gym. Do you
Yeah.
guys want to be a part of it? And they were on board straight away. They're like, yep. So, and a few of them were still serving at the time, so they were happy to invest and all that sort of thing. And so yeah, then we set it up. It's called the Mill. Um, the slogan at the time, and still is you work, you reap. And it's still operating today. So 13 years down the track, it's still running. They're very, very successful these days. They do a lot of more, not just the training and personal training stuff and sessions, but they work with and train with a lot of professionals, whether they be in business, whether they be doctors, whether they be athletes or whatever, and helping to build and migrating that, some of those teachings from leadership and resilience and adaptability and all that sort of thing from that we gained from that SF world, and help teach and facilitate that, and have got that embedded into the gym itself. So the gym has expanded beyond beyond anything that I had sort of initially envisaged at the time. It was just going to be a place to have similar like-minded people that are prepared to work, move, sweat, and suffer, work hard for their results. And it stayed true to those core values. There's things in there that we had a few set rules, like there's no swearing. If you swear, like, when people lose it, they swear, or they,
Yeah.
and in the military, for us, every second, third word was an F-bomb, like, just it's, and when I would sit back and listen to that, I was like, man, we speak really, really terribly. And it's just something that and I know for me, became very accustomed to with my mates. Would just be talking, and it was just normal. It was like and when I stepped back from it, I was like, man, it's almost like learning another language, but not in a good way. And so to
Yeah.
test ourselves and those that we're with, like, we set that rule. If you, and the funny thing was, is that if you did swear, us or the clients, like, the rules applied to us. And so there's the naughty box, so to speak, where, that could be anywhere from 1,000 burpees, like, that you have to pay before you get to leave the gym, so you don't want to end up in there. So there's a whole bunch of things that we do. So and the music that we're having, we didn't want to have any, that you could play, good music, but anything that's talking about, killing and sex and drugs and alcohol, all that sort of stuff, we're like,
Yeah.
well, that doesn't have a place here. Like, that's not what we're here for. So, be careful about the music that you put on, because you'll end up in that box as well
Yeah.
before you leave. If you don't, then don't come back. So see you later. So it's not a very good business model, because we really struggled at the start, because we were turning away. Well, to be fair, my business partner, who's running it now, Nick, or who continues to run it now, because I'm not part of it. uh, to be fair, and he's right. I turned away more people. Well, I probably turned away. I was turning away everybody that was coming in, just because of there were just those things in there, and males and or females, that just their mindset wasn't what we wanted. They were very, oh, this is too hard. I'm gonna, oh, I can't do this. Oh, and it's like, well, you read the website, right? Like, what did you come here for? If that's how you're gonna be, like, you don't need to be this top because none of us are top athletes. Like, can't, and I'm not in the Olympics, but there's a mindset about you just need to be willing to work and put up with the suck to if you want to be here. And
Yeah.
those that I saw, like, they weren't. So I was like, see you later. Like, yeah, see you later. So we've still got a couple there, or a few that were there, foundational members from the start that did. And he's a pro golfer, or formerly a professional golfer. And you'd think, pro golfer, and he was my typical image of a professional golfer, like very slightly built, didn't seem to have like, wasn't like built like, or very muscular or that sort of thing, and he spoke about himself in terms of being, I'm quite fit, I'm the fittest person I know. This is from the wording that we had back and forth. I was like, oh, this is interesting. When he rocked up, he was just this very unassuming guy, but with a mindset that matched his confidence. And he's still there today, and he smashes it. Yeah, he's a great guy. Former professional guy. Actually, I don't think you'll mind if I mention his name, Ryan Sanders.
Yeah.
But yeah, great guy. So yeah, that's the gym, still running now. They're doing great things, helping a lot of people, and yeah, and I'm in NZ, and toying with the idea of maybe setting one up here.
There's a running theme here, Joe. It's that brutally unforgiving nature that you possess. It shines through everything.
Yeah, my poor kids are on the back end of that too.
Oh, they're
They had to do
probably,
their, sorry,
sorry.
go.
I says they're probably in a field right now, like picking capsicums, as you call them.
Yeah, well, actually, they've got some time off, because they got today and tomorrow off, but they still need to do their burpees. So Sundays is the day they get off, right?
All right.
Christmas was Saturday. Um, I was speaking to them. I was like, "Have you done your burpees?" They're like, "No." I was like, "Well, it's just because it's Christmas doesn't mean you don't get." So I just wanted to see how they would go. They didn't know, but my older girl first went out, and I was like, "Where's Elena?" And they're like, "Oh, she's doing her burpees." I went outside, and she was on to like 33 or whatever. And so I sat outside and just watched her. And I thought in my head, because she's got 150 burpees, 150 squats to do. And I thought, oh, it is Christmas. My wife was going, oh, just maybe just let them have the day off. I was like, no. She goes, oh, let them do 100. I was like, no. She goes, I'll let them do 50. I was like, no, they can do 150. It's like not going to take them long. And anyway, I sat out there. All that stuff was going through my head. She's up to 30 something. And I thought, oh, when she gets to 50, I'll stop. And then she got to 49. And I thought, well, actually, maybe I'll just wait and see. Because if she stops at 50, then I'll see if she'll just get back going again, or she'll try and take a long break. Anyway, she got to 50, stopped, went and spat in the garden, and then came back, and then she just started again. And so then she was doing 5 6 counts, then 5 squats, 5 6 counts, 5 squats. She did finish her 5 burpees. Then when she finished her 5 squats, you should have seen the look of surprise, shock, but also happiness and joy on her face. And I said, okay, darling, that's enough. You can stop. She's like, what? She looked like, is this a test? Do I need to keep going again? And it felt so good to just see her like, yes, she must be thinking this is a test. As I was like, yeah, I know how that feels. Anyway, I stopped. I said, yeah, don't tell your sister, because the other sister hadn't done hers yet. Don't say anything to anyone. You just go and have a shower, rest, you're done. You don't need to do anymore. She was so happy. I said, don't say anything to your sister. No, I did the same with her sister. But her sister was doing 10 and 10. So she ended up doing 60 and 60 before she got to stop. But yeah, it was funny. So yeah, it does sort of migrate. Habits die hard. It's just become part of how things roll. But I haven't been able to do that with my wife. She's like, nah. I think I invited her to come do some burpees with me on our anniversary. She's like, no thanks. And then yeah, and then after that, so she's like, don't even. What made you think I'm going to come out and do burpees with you, like, ever? So yeah, so she wears the pants. Yeah.
Oh well, there you go. Right. So Joe, right. So when, at what point, or what brought us to the phase we are in right now, where
Right now.
burpees are the cornerstone of your training regime?
Great question. I'd say the point that brought it to, it would be wrong of me to not acknowledge. So I had been sick and tired of the gym scene, and just again being in an environment. The environment was great. Got everything, you got it's a person that
Yeah.
likes to train's playground. It's got everything there.
Mm.
But what I didn't like were the other children in the playground. And so what I mean by that were, it just really frustrated me, and made me angry, that people would come to a place designed to, help you train physically, mentally, and become stronger, whatever that is, fitter, faster, stronger, whatever that is for the individual, but not utilize that time as well as what I perceived or thought they should. So if you come there to train and exercise, you paid this money, right, for your membership, then bloody make the most of it. Use it and exercise and train and do what it's there for. And then, talk after if you need to, if you want to stay in that place, but don't do it when you're getting there and you're warming up, and then you realize that you've talked and fluffed around more on your device than you've done any work. So I didn't like that, and I had equipment at home anyway. I would like to do it at the start, and I realized later the reason that I liked going to the gym, and particularly the one that we'd set up in Perth, was because there were always people there, better, faster, stronger, whatever, and just inspiring. Like I would look at them and like, man, these people are just focused in on what they're doing. And I would see myself, like, okay, and I'd try to take bits from that and then try to focus in on what I was doing. But when I didn't experience that anymore in those environments, I was like, stuff this. I've got everything at home, like, or I've got what I need at home at the time. And the only thing I'm missing here is a pull-up bar, or bars to pull up on. But in Perth, I had everything. Had the concrete in, because we owned our place there. This home we're renting, so I can't go and dig holes and concrete in some posts and stuff. Well, I haven't asked the landlords if I can do that, but had everything there, and so we brought all that stuff with us. Got the treadmill if we need to. Got the bars and dumbbells and all the bumper plates and stuff like that, and non-bumper plates. And I thought, stuff it. I'm just going to train at home, and then I. What was I doing? I was doing some weight stuff, and I hurt my back. So I hurt my lower back. I was doing some deadlifting, and then doing some clean and jerks and that sort of stuff, because I enjoy doing those types of lifts as well. Um, and yeah, just hurt my back, and I was like, damn it. I was like, well, I still need to train. I still need to do stuff. And I was like, oh, you know what? Burpees had always been a large part of it. So I just thought, they weren't like the burpees that we're doing, like that I try to do now, like the ones that you do and stuff like that. I was just sort of more, because of my injury, I would just go down and then just walk my feet back. I wasn't even doing the push up, because to keep that tension through my stomach and midsection was causing a lot of pain in my back. And then I'd just, step out, step back in, and stand up. And I'd just find I would just do those for ages,
Yeah.
and so that I could keep moving. And I felt that my back and stuff was feeling a lot better. And then I started looking online. I started looking on YouTube and just looking at different body weight stuff that people were doing, uh, because I realized that I would be doing, at the time it was a long time. It was like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and then 45 minutes. And then I remember typing in there some body weight stuff, and I'm pretty sure Iron Wolf's one was the first one that came up, and it was that 500 Navy SEALs. And I was like, Navy SEALs, what are Navy SEALs? And then I saw him doing them, and I saw how like it was over an hour long session. And I was like, wow, and it was sort of similar to Greg's reaction, I guess. Like, this guy's just doing that constantly. So yeah, Iron Wolf was one of the first guys. Yeah, he would be, no, I'd say he's the first one that I saw. And I was like, wow, he's using burpees. And this was before I didn't know he was in the army. I was like, far out, that's a, heavy military type exercise. The burpee itself, not so much the Navy SEAL from my experience. And then, and then realized, and then saw his other stuff. I was like, oh, this guy is ex-military. I was like, no wonder he's doing burpees. And then I just really was drawn into the stuff that he was doing. And I was like, this is awesome. But to be fair, I've even though I've looked at people, and I will, like, from time to time I'll see your stuff and I'll try out your stuff and other people's within the community. Um, I've not I've generally gone looked at what people do and then either looked to adapt it for me, so or look to include something that I know I need to continually work on, or whatever that is, rather than just 100% just completely imitate a full session. Sometimes that happens, that will happen, but I get a lot of, for me anyway, I just get a lot of satisfaction out of gleaning from the tools that I have access to, like yourself, like Iron Wolf, like Greg Molden, like Bruce, Toe Nerve, etc. Busy Dad, all these people within the community, and then just going, okay, well, what else could I either add to it, or what could I do for me? What do I want to add to it for me, not for anybody else? And so yeah, so most of my sessions, because I had a couple of people ask me, oh, do you follow much of Iron Wolf's stuff, or do you do his challenge? I have to admit, I'll at some point, almost every day, I'll be scrolling through and have a quick look at what Iron Wolf's done, just because I think, oh, this is, I think you mentioned it. He is the godfather of this community, and I think that's awesome. I see that stuff, and then, but I will look at all the others as well. The Moseses, the Burpees King, and all these incredible people, athletes out there doing this stuff. And I do like to have a look at CrossFit as well. So
Yeah,
I just have a lot of respect for the men and women that compete at such high level, and
yeah,
whatever it is. And I think, wow, that's incredible what they do. Like the women are throwing
yeah,
around weights that are my max, you know,
yeah.
and they're moving fast. So yeah, it's awesome.
Do you know what, Joe? It's like I'm going to have to interject here because I'm
Go.
glad you brought up CrossFit
Mm,
because like I've heard that there's been a few comments that have been made like regarding CrossFit within the burpee community, and I find that it's quite disparaging at times. It's like CrossFit gets a rough ride.
mm.
I personally I struggle to wonder why at times. In fact, like I can give you my experience why
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
please.
CrossFit is spoke about in such terms. And I think it's that bodybuilding lens comes in
Mm.
where people will say that CrossFit's quite random
Yep.
and it isn't.
Intentionally though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Yeah,
it isn't optimal for hypertrophy.
yeah,
It isn't optimal for strength training.
yeah,
And I agree with those sentiments.
yep.
But what no one really brings up is see when you go and you look in a CrossFit gym, they work really fucking hard. Really fucking hard.
Yeah,
And the physiques reflect that. The top
100%.
level CrossFit guys look amazing.
Yeah,
They're absolutely ripped to the gills and they are packing some serious action.
yeah, yeah, 100%.
And it seems to be easy just to jump on this whole, yeah, that's CrossFitty, bit CrossFitty. But
Yeah,
no one's talking about the intensity of work that they're applying. And I think that's what you need to really understand with CrossFit. I get it, it's random. I get it, there's lots of videos out there where people are doing this crazy, like Olympic lifts, and they're doing them badly. You can't attribute that to CrossFit. You can only
yeah.
attribute that to the coaching that they're receiving at that particular point.
Mm.
Like, there's always going to be shitty coaches out there, regardless of the umbrella they fall under.
Yeah,
But it's not a CrossFit system that's bad. If anything, if you're applying it like to the letter, you're going to get awesome results because it encourages super hard work, which is what the burpee community is actually all about. There's a lot of similarities between CrossFit and the burpee community in that respect, that both of them are about super hard work.
yeah.
And when you work, sorry, like, but
No, you
when you
go.
work, and when you work super hard, communities are born
Yeah,
because
100%.
everybody relate. There's no bodybuilding community. Like I've never been part of a bodybuilding community because with bodybuilding, everybody just looks down on the way other people train. Or you shouldn't be training like that. You should be doing this program, or you shouldn't be training buys before back. There's just negativity because it's steeped in total narcissism. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Whereas like
yeah.
CrossFit is just the numbers and work.
It is, it is.
It's
And
like it's
I love,
time.
yeah, and I love that, shift a large load, long distance and random. And it's right up there with, in terms of, from my recollection anyway, in terms of a community of people that embraced the suck and hard work, so to speak. My recollection is CrossFit. Like that's one of the first communities that where I started to hear this term, the CrossFit community. That was one of the first communities in terms of fitness that I had heard anyway. That sort of, well, not sort of, that resonated with me. That made sense. I was like, man, these people,
Yeah.
these men and women, they come exactly like you said. They work hard. Now, is it specific for, in terms of hypertrophy or strength or, Olympic? No, it's not. But that's never been their point. That's never been their point of difference or their mantra. It's like trying to prepare people for as many random things as possible. And it's right up there, in my opinion, with regards to Mythical Strength, Jared Miller's latest post, and being more trouble than you're worth, and preparing themselves. And yeah, they lift and throw some tin around and they run. But man, you look at and people do, and there are some people that I guess I haven't seen so much probably from the high end CrossFitters, but their Olympic lifts to me look pretty good. Like when they're snatching 120, 130, 140 kilos, and then they're clean and jerking 150, 160. I was like, their technique's not too bad as far as I'm concerned. But then you've got, all the other gymnasticy body weight stuff, walking for however long over obstacles on their hands, and just the skill involved in that, but also the mindset, because they weren't able to, that they weren't just blessed and gifted to be able to all of a sudden walk on their hands over all these obstacles
Yeah.
or lift these weights. They put in the work, and they just blink and suffered through it to get to where they're at now. And that's, like you said, they're very, it's like the burpee community. They embrace hard work, and their physique, whatever you want to call it, if that's what people are measuring by, reflects the work and their approach to that. So yeah, I just echo everything that you've shared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So how do you, to go back to burpees? So how do
Hmm.
you like? I know you said that you like to take parts of other burpee workouts, and like
Mm.
as a wee like sort of, I think that's down to your stubborn nature that you don't want to do somebody's full routine. I think that's just the
You know
Hotai
what?
hot head kicking in.
That is partly true. Yeah. I think not, and I, you know what? I can't put my finger on as to why, other than part of it for me feels like I'm I'm ripping off, somebody else's, what they've created or designed, and it's for them. Like every workout that I look at, apart from when Iron Wolf puts out his challenges for the Wolf Pack or whatever to follow along and stuff, that's great. But for the most part, I think, well, Lee's done that for Lee. And that's his session. Yeah, I like that. And apart from the challenge that you'd put up, I'll look at it and go, yeah, I like that, but I probably won't do it exactly the same because that was Lee's session. So I'll just, add in my own little bit or whatever, or I'll do something else.
But how, why is doing someone else's session such a problem? I mean, that would be like doing like 5-3-1. Is that ripping off Jim Wendler? Or like doing, it's like starting strength. Is that ripping off Mark Ripito?
Yeah,
Like these
no,
routines are there to be done. They're putting out that content for you to do them.
yeah, yeah, and that's a good point. No, I can't put my finger on it. I just think that's just where I'm at, and how I've always been. Um, Look up to people, admire and respect what they've done, and then, just not don't rip off what they've done. Don't rip them off, and
No,
or
but
if you
like,
do, acknowledge them.
yeah, I was going to say that because I do a lot of Iron Wolf routines and I put them up, but I always
Yeah, yeah, I
I
see that.
always attribute them to the Iron Wolf. I'll always put his name in there because I wouldn't like ever lead somebody to believe I'd created that routine.
Yeah.
But I think ripping off is a strong term in that respect because I think that these routines are like they are put out to be done by other people.
Mm.
That's
Yeah.
the whole point. I'm putting because even Iron Wolf brought that up himself. I'm putting out these routines and I'm doing them first, and so that you can then do them.
Mm. Yeah. So
But
maybe I might do some, and I excuse me, I have done some,
yeah,
not only of Iron Wolves and Greg's and that sort of stuff as per what they've done, and really enjoyed it. No, not so much enjoyed it during, but when I finished eventually.
yeah, that was a tough line of questioning there. Eh?
No, I think it's good. I think it's a valid point. Like, and
Yeah,
there has been a lot of stuff that that I have. But yeah, I can't put my finger on it. I mean, if people go back and have a look, if they want to have a look, they'll probably see that I've maybe I've done more than what I think, but I do tend to think I just find my own rhythm for what it is
Yeah,
that I'm wanting to do, and I enjoy that for me personally anyway.
yeah,
Mm.
that's fair enough. That's fair enough. So how do you like? Do you just wake up and go, "I'm doing this," or do you have that 10 stretch sort of session in your bed at night where you're fantasizing over a program that you're going to complete?
Probably a bit of both. Sometimes I'll go to bed and just not think about anything for the next day and just go, I'll do whatever the first thing is that comes to my mind the next day. And to be fair as well, sometimes I've gone to bed, done that, woken up and thought of a ridiculous number, and then gone, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. And I'll do a different number because it's the number has just been out there, and I'm gone, done anywhere near, you haven't even done half that number. What are you thinking, putting that number in your
Yeah,
head? And it's like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. And then other times I will think about the night before, and I'll have it planned out and go, okay, I'll be up at this time. I should be able to get that done by this time, get cleaned up, then I'll be able to go to work. So yeah, and so yeah, it's a bit of a mix of those for me. I enjoy all of that process. But yeah, sometimes I'm just not even in the zone and not even thinking about it, and I'll just do what I decide to do in the morning. Yeah. What
right.
about you? Is it, or do you constantly fantasize about them every
Every night in my bed, tossing and turning, replaying every burpee, visualizing success.
night? Well,
I, I
that's
just,
good. That's a good habit.
yeah, well, I mean, I'm just like you, man. It depends. Sometimes I go into the gym or I'm in the house and I think, wait, I'm just going to do that. Usually the idea formulates like a couple of hours before,
Yeah.
and then I start. I tend to find that if I go and try to do one there and then, I just think of I get quite stressed, like because I get optional paralysis. With should I do that? So I think that like I just try to minimize overthinking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
I
find
like
a
that.
plan and stick to it, and try and break it up in such a way where like it's tolerable on the body.
Nice. I like that. Yeah. Don't
But
overthink it. I think that was in one of your latest posts too, on Instagram. Stop overthinking or something. I
yeah,
read.
possibly. Don't like always be prepared though to have the wind taken out of your sails, because you like there's some sessions you do where you're anticipating it will be easy, and it should be easy on paper, considering you the fitness level you've built through repeated effort,
Yeah.
and it knocks you for six. Like for example, I did a like I was taking a fitness class the other day, and like one person turned up, and I was going to run Iron Will's cardiovascular punishment, which I
Yeah.
had done, which completely annihilated me, and I thought I'm going to do
Yeah.
that again, but I wasn't feeling it, so I thought I'm going to do something easier. I'm going to do 10 burpees on the minute for
Every
45
minute
minutes
of
straight.
it. That's still tough.
And oh man, it completely crushed me. Like crushed me within 20 minutes. I was like, I want this to end, but I can't because I need to keep running this fitness class. And the person who's doing the fitness class with me is probably watching my videos. And if I stop, then that facade will crumble.
Yeah. When you went, why didn't I make these five every minute on the minute?
Yeah. I was like, I may should like just try to come up with some elaborate excuse to like half the
Yeah, yeah.
volume, but
Just,
it
just
killed
look at,
me. I was dying.
yeah, and it's strange, eh, how that happens. Yeah, that's a really good point. Especially considering your level of conditioning that you have, and then to feel like that, to hear that, yeah, I've had times when I felt like that, when it's supposedly going to be an easy or a recovery
Yeah.
session or
Yeah.
and every minute on the minute, and then next minute you're just feeling your lungs are going mentally. You're thinking, did I do this?
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
then you
But
can't
I was,
stop. You've got to finish it.
yeah, exactly, exactly, and that is what you need to take into consideration. Like you need to look at it positively, because you're sitting there and you're thinking, shit, I thought I was really fit and I'm struggling to do 450 burpees. But
Mm,
who's doing 450 burpees on the planet? No one.
mm,
Like we're talking about 0.0001% of the planet are doing past 100, 200 burpees. So your standards just increase exponentially over the course of your burpee journey, where really high numbers, which would work for most people,
Yeah.
can be considered quite a disappointing session because how it affects you physically. Because you can be super conditioned, but 100 burpees is still going to put you on your back. I don't
Mm.
care how fit you are. It's the mental game that clicks in at that point. It's always mental, which goes back
Yeah.
to your
Yeah.
army days. They know
Mm.
this. They know there's no point. They can make anybody fit through
Mm.
exercise, but can they strengthen that mental resolve so that people can keep going at the point
Mm.
where most people will just naturally quit?
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. And I think you mentioned, because you've reached out to David Goggins, who talks about, callousing the mind. So that sort of thing is real. But I never, personally, being so young when I joined, I never looked at it like that. My images of the army and where I wanted to go was, you don't want to be that weak link that lets your mates down. And so
Yeah.
that 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 was the driver for me. That was enough of a driver for me. And then along the way, I realized, oh man, yeah, push through that hard thing, I can push through that thing, and if I can do that, then I can do that, and it just
Yeah.
builds upon there. And so if I can do 30, and so on and so on. So yeah, those are good points that you mentioned, and it does, for me anyway, it comes back to that mental aspect and what we're trying to teach our children, and I think I sort of
Yeah.
alluded to that in the first one.
Yeah. Right, Joe, let's go for a quick fire, right?
Yeah,
Let's go for a
go on
quick
then.
fire, right? Top three, but and then you're not allowed to say me, right? Like, because I know
Oh,
I'm up
I'm
there,
not.
right?
Don't worry. No. Don't worry. I'm not saying you.
You bastard. Right, top three burpee practitioners,
Oh,
and
good
and
question.
why and why are they the top three?
Yeah. Um, well, I'm going to say first up, Burpee Zikram, just because I know he's a young fella, but just because of his what he's able to do, like from the outside looking in, like that's no joke. 500 Navy SEALs for 30 days straight every day. That to me is super impressive, just from a physical standpoint, but also from a mental standpoint. To get
Yeah.
up and do that, and for the whole 30 days, he was under an hour, sub 60
I
minutes,
know.
500 Navy SEALs. I can't picture a time where I'll ever get 500 Navy SEAls in under 2 hours, let alone 60 minutes. So
Do
he's
you know what? Sorry, Joe.
yeah.
That is a
No, go.
fascinating point.
Yeah,
That is a fascinating point. You're right. Everyone under 60 minutes.
yeah.
Every.
Crazy, crazy. So he's up there. He's the number one in terms of what I've looked at, and people that I like to go and have a look at. Definitely can't follow any of his sessions. um, I would say next for me, I really, really enjoy um, Moses Cuevas. Ever since our interview with him, I've really just I've gone in and looked at more of his stuff and paid more attention to what it is that he's doing. And funnily enough, I haven't really been looking at his burpee stuff. I've been listening to his how he's trying to motivate and inspire people to make better choices with their life. And I was like, man, this is so awesome, because he's still only young. Was he 27 or something?
Yeah.
To make the change from where he's gone and to what he's trying to do and how he's trying to give back. So yes, you asked me about burpees. I love like the complexity of his burpees. They're amazing. But in terms of burpee practitioners, I'm following him, but not so much. It hasn't been, I've noticed anyway, from the burpee practitioner sense. It's been, look at the
Yeah.
stuff that he's doing, and I've really appreciated that about him. And I also love the way that he asked us questions
Yeah.
when we were
Absolutely.
interviewing him.
Yeah. That
So
was a nice touch.
yeah, so there's him as the second, and then third, I struggle to separate these two gentlemen, and I think you know who I'm talking about,
Yeah.
um, purely because of their level of physical conditioning, but also their mental capacity to just they just keep pushing, and they're so consistent, and the stuff that they put out. So that's both Tone Irv and James Bruce. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
struggle to separate those two. Those two guys are like right there together for me, and I love looking at their stuff. I love. what they do, how they approach it, and just the physical. And again, those 3 people, or 4 if you with James and Tony.
You had to do your own thing, didn't you? You had to do
Yeah,
4
I've got to
fucking
be different.
practitioners.
You asked me 3, I'm gonna give you 4. Um, so those guys, physical and mental aspects of what they bring and what they add to the community, I really respect and admire about them. So yeah, those are the 4 of the 3 that you asked.
Yeah, it's amusing how like those two have become synonymous with each other in some respects. I don't know how
Yeah,
that happened, but
they're so when you look at the sessions, and for me it goes back to the JC challenge when I really sort of first seen these guys and they're like neck and neck,
yeah,
and then yeah, just everything that they do, they're just so consistently fast and good and efficient with what they do. I think from my view, and I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. I think from my view, Tone seems to have a lot more variety in terms of his training, in terms of what he does. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I think personally, I think it's a good thing to have a bit of variety or more variety in the stuff that you do. But it's great to see him do that, and he has access to that, you know. So that's the other thing. So I don't know what James Bruce might only have access to the Bruce bunker, you know. So he may not have that luxury of the
yeah,
outdoors and all that other stuff, which Tone has, which enables him to have more variety. But I think, you know, that's an enjoyable aspect that I like about Tones. But then I also like that, okay, I'm just in my bunker or I'm in this part of the lounge or house, wherever he is, and he's just down, up, down, up, down, up, fast, consistent. It's 29 minutes, 10, 500, 6
yeah,
counts or 500 burpees. It's like, that's ridiculous.
yeah. It's ridiculous. Like to me, that's an interesting point you raised. I think Tone of shades it in physicality only because he has more strings to his bow.
Mm,
Like he does the weights, he'll do pull ups, he'll do that. But I think that James has an intensity to him
mm,
that just takes his training up a wee notch. That if he was to actually show some other sides to his training, like pull
mm,
ups, chin ups, dips, or weights, or whatever, I don't know if he does that or anything like that. Probably doesn't.
mm.
But I know if he did it, he would excel because he's got that intensity.
Yeah, yeah.
So I
And
think
that focus, eh?
that's what shades it for Tone Off because he puts more out there with regards to variety.
Mm. Yeah, true. Yeah, good point.
But I know that like James would eat anybody up alive because A, he's Scottish, and B, he's just got that
And he likes
intensity to him.
haggis.
I likes haggis and black pudding,
Yeah.
Ryan Brew.
And
Hey,
goodness.
listen, my 1-year-old boy loves black pudding. You need to see him eat it; it's amazing.
Is that right?
But his nappies are unreal. Uh, But James has
Okay.
got that intensity. He's the most intense guy in burpees, man. I love James Bruce to bits, man. He's a monster.
Yeah, he is a even the
Yes.
yeah, is intense is a great description of
hmm
James Bruce. Yeah, I like that. It's a good point.
James is my man. But listen. To wrap it up, I want to
Wrap
hear
up.
this, right? I want to hear this, right? What is the great elders' advice for anybody starting out in the burpee game, aka 10 stretch?
Don't puss out on your numbers or the session that you say you're going to do. No. What was the
Sorry,
question?
10
What's it?
stretch.
Yeah. What's the advice?
Just looking for the great elders' advice on anybody starting out on their burpee journey. What would you suggest, or what would you
Yeah.
advise them to do?
I would say anybody that's looking to, and it's the same as what we've already heard, like they just get started. But you know, you do that you mentioned it first. You just need to get started. You don't need to be doing a push up. You don't need to be, you know, body slamming the ground or jumping your feet in and out every single time. You can take it easy. You can place your hands down on the ground and walk one leg out at a time. You don't even need to go all the way to the ground. You can grab a chair or a bench and you can go down halfway and then walk your feet back and come back in. Whatever you need to do, you can adapt it. I love how Derek Towers talks about that, adapting, and you as well, being so long in the fitness industry and stuff. There's always a way to adapt those movements, or this movement in the sessions, and there's uh, an unlimited, at least in my limited perception anyway, amount of variety or variations to be able to perform the burpee. So regardless of what stage you're at, I mean, we've got Rob Williams, who is the standard, 61 years young, smashing out 500 6 counts, smashing out more than that, smashing out Navy SEALs consistently every day. He's
Smashing
working.
out 500 chicken McNuggets. Sorry, Rob.
and then smashing out the burpees to make up for those 500 chicken McNuggets while the TV's on. But all of that, like, there is no excuse, right? There is no excuse. And you just, if you're wanting to get into it, like, just make a start. Go to where you've not so much to where you're comfortable with, because it's always good to push beyond that comfortable place, because then you know that you can go past that and you can do it again and again and build upon it. But just get started. And burpees are a great tool, done anywhere, pretty much any time. If you're somewhat more self-conscious, maybe you're not going to do them anywhere because people might be looking at you, but just get started and do it. That was from our first episode with yourself, who mentioned that. Embrace that dark place.
Listen, mate, another fantastic episode with yourself, mate. You are the consummate guest and host.
Yeah, thank you. That's great. Great to hear. What did we needed to catch up on a few things? Are we
On you
rolling
go.
straight into the catch up?
Yeah, it's
So
full.
yeah, so the catch up was going to be around 10 stretch was going to be one of those. But we spoke about that. Well, actually, no, we just heard my side, my rant, and didn't I go off on a rant? Hey, I
Oh,
did.
you
I
went
started.
off in one, mate. You went off in one.
Man, you would not have. He wouldn't have wanted to be around. You should have seen me when I was at home. Like, the kids just had to stay away. Like, serious. Like, no, I'm busy. Like, be quiet. And then I was not happy. I had to come close myself in the room. But anyway, how did you feel? So when he spoke with you, you managed to convince him to get back out and go do and finish, didn't you?
Oh, I was upset because, like, I just felt that to bail out at such a low number at the first point, I just thought,
Yeah.
no, I'm not having this. So I sent him like a strongly worded text back saying, listen, don't get back in touch with me until you've done 500. Like,
Excellent.
I'm not interested, mate. Get back in there and get them done, mate.
Yeah.
Like, I've been touting you. I've been taking the time to, like, put your name out there, show
Yeah.
people that you're on your journey. So you need to get this done because you
Would
can
you?
do it.
I was going to say, would you say that this? And I'm just having a laugh here, but would you say that he's been your most disappointing discovery?
No, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that at this point. I don't want to, because he was going to delete his channel. Like,
Yeah, that's
you could
crazy.
tell he was emotionally crippled by this.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Don't delete your
no,
channel, 10
no,
stretch.
no. Like, I told him, listen, see, even if you've done whatever you've done, just put it up. That's the journey. That's the
Yeah,
story. Just get it up. Joe's going to give you a bit of a hard time. Right, but he's only doing it because he cares. If he didn't
yes.
care, he would have just unsubscribed and you would never have heard from him again.
Yeah,
Like,
that's right.
Joe took out the time to write a big lengthy comment out, which was positive at first glance, but I knew differently because I know what you're like. So
Yeah.
if Joe's on your subscriber channel, make sure you complete all reps, or
Yeah.
Joe will come in with a velvet glove and he will pummel you into next week.
He won't be happy. Yeah, and he'll find it difficult to sleep. You know what? I think I had a crap sleep too that night, thanks to him. Yeah. And that's strange, eh? I said, blinking. I just felt so let down. I was like, this guy sitting there talking to himself. I can't do any more. I was like,
I know.
just like I was doing this on the camera, like just shut up, get up.
His videos tell a story. And do you know what? Like he needs to like sort of like that's what he needs to. What's the word I'm looking for? He needs to build on that. He's very descriptive when he's doing his burpees. Like he's in a world of pain. He's like, like he's like there's like a Laurel and Hardy element to his burpees. They're
We need
very
to have him.
expressive.
Yeah, and I know he said he's gonna do 500 burpees before he can come on, but man, it'd be so funny to have him on here because it
Oh,
was
he's a
making
really
me laugh.
funny guy. He's a
Yeah,
really
even
funny
at the
guy.
start
Like,
with his pen and paper, he's like, yeah, got my pen and paper, and I'm gonna write down on here like just lots of 5 or 10. Okay, I'm stalling now. I'm stalling. Okay, just gotta start.
I know,
No,
I know,
the
but he needs to
theatrics of
build
it
on
all.
that. He's got
Mm,
comedy. There's a comedy
yeah,
element to him,
yeah,
so I think he could
there
be
is.
like the Burpee community's first sort of comedy Burpee guy.
Yeah, actually, I mean, you have been dubbed the Billy Connolly of the burpees community. But yeah, yeah, we've got to find something for him because yeah, there's that place for him. As long as he does all his reps, I don't care. Like he's gonna be funny.
Exactly,
But
exactly. If he does
just
all his reps
yeah,
and he
just
maintains that comedic value,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
then there's potential for him to go far. And I don't think he realizes this. I think
yeah,
what Ten Stretch, I think there's a level of doubt there
yeah,
which
yeah,
he needs to overcome.
yeah. Definitely level of
He
doubt
needs to
comes
overcome
through.
that and like you just realize that no one gives a shit.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? There's guys you'll never be the best burpee guy out there. There's
yeah,
guys out
yeah,
there who will smoke you. They
yeah,
will destroy you. So you need to work on the other facets of your game, which is your personality. Because there's guys out there who are like doing like Burpee's Ikram, right? All respect to
yeah.
Burpee's Ikram, but he's not really out there because he
Mm,
doesn't really reveal his character that much, and that's
yeah,
will always go against you
yeah.
in this and on YouTube definitely.
Yeah, yeah, and we'll briefly talk about that too. But just on that point that you spoke about, yeah, there's always going to be people that are going to smoke us in the burpees. But as you mentioned, he needs to work on that personality. But the only other key part that I want is that he works on doing every single rep. If you say you're going to do 500, then you do 500. Like look at Big
Yeah,
Rob. Big Rob, that guy's a tank, man, a
yeah.
beef castle, you would say, and he's strong as an ox. He's very new, from what I can tell and see, to burpees. But
Hmm.
bro, the guy said, "Okay, watch this space in the next week or whatever it was." I think pretty much the next day, he was like, "Okay, 500 burpees, just get it done," and he
Hmm.
just, you know,
Did it.
dragged himself through and did it. Suffered,
Absolutely,
yeah, suffered
absolutely.
along the way, smashed it, and
Move,
so
sweat,
we're
and
gonna get
suffer,
him on.
mate.
Yeah, and so, oh, sorry, and so yeah, on to Burpees Ikram. So yeah, unfortunately, you weren't able to join in on the conversation that I had with him yesterday. I didn't record it. I let him know. He's just so for the community out there. This is part of our update because this will be the separate piece. He's very obviously he's very self conscious about his English. But it was great to catch up with him yesterday. Lee and I are going to have the privilege of having him on once Lee and I work out a date and time. But he just feels he knows that people are wanting to know a little bit more about him, and so he's happy to do that. The reason that he hasn't, and he doesn't mind us sharing that here, is that he's just been very self-conscious that his English isn't his first language. So stay tuned though. Within the
Yeah,
next few
yeah,
weeks, we're going to have him on a schedule that works for Lee and I, and Burpees Ikram, and then we'll have him on, and then you're going to get to learn a little bit about him. Just a heads up on that one, though. I was speaking with Lee. It's probably only going to be a shorter one, maybe 15, 20 minutes, just a few questions at a time, just so that he can get a feel for it, and then we'll bring him back on again later on. So he's happy to do that. Just otherwise,
yeah,
it might be a bit too much to sort of take in one hit in one session with us.
yeah. Because the guy needs exposure because he's
Yeah,
performing physical feats that no one else is. Like
yeah. Not even
no one's
thinking
at his
about.
level. Yeah, no one's at his level. Like a hundred Navy SEALs in 8 minutes.
Yeah,
I mean,
ridiculous.
that is like Britain's Got Talent sort of
Yeah, yeah,
level.
100%. Yeah.
Do you
And
know
then
what I
he's
mean?
and then he's doing that like it's slightly slower over 500. stringing for another 400 of them, it's maybe 52 minutes or
Yeah,
53
absolutely.
minutes. I think one of
Absolutely.
I think one of the longest times I saw in that 30-day period, he might have got up to 56 or 57 or just under 57 minutes, and that was one of the longer times. I was like, and it's probably day 23 or something like that.
Mate, it took
Crazy.
56 minutes for 10 stretch to day 200 burpees.
But yeah, and I mean that's the thing, right? That's the oh, what's the word I'm looking for? But that's the vast differences between where we're all at different
Yeah,
stages.
yeah, absolutely. Just like we
It's
were
like night
saying,
and
you'll
day.
never get there. You'll never
Yeah,
get
yeah.
there. So don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's right. And you don't need to. You just need to focus on what you're doing for you. Like
Yeah, yeah,
how is
yeah,
it benefiting you? Are you benefiting it from it? Not only physically, but mentally? Is it holding any transfer over to your work? Is it holding any transfer over to just your everyday life and relationships,
yeah,
whatever? If you can say that it's achieving that, like I feel like it is for me personally,
yeah.
then you're in a good space. You're in a good,
Absolutely,
you're in a good
absolutely.
zone. Mm.
Burpees are therapy, my man.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Um, so what about you? What's the plan? So let's talk about this 2,500 coming up for you on New Year's
Yeah.
Day. Have you developed the strategy anymore? Are you thinking anymore about the strategy, or are you just thinking, you know what, I'm just gonna stuff it. I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna go and one rep at a time and just go. What's the plan?
Yeah, that's probably it. I've taken 2 days off and I've ate a ton of crap, man. I've been eating chocolate all the time, so I'll be preparing the best. But it's Christmas. It's Christmas, man.
It's
But I was
fuel
fuel,
for that.
mate,
Yeah,
Burpee
yeah,
fuel. But I was
yeah.
chatting with Greg Malden and he suggested a strategy which was 10 on the minute every minute. So that's why I went
Right.
with that for that fitness class and it
Yep.
completely smoked me. So I don't think that's a viable strategy at this point. Sorry, Greg, but I can't do that. I got to 45 minutes and I was just like in pain. Right. So I'm gonna go for like my plan is 10 sets of 100, but stomach strike, well paced,
Yeah.
running on the spot between every set of 10 within the 100.
Yeah.
Just pace it nicely, big
Nice.
rests, take electrolytes and stuff and gels in with me just to keep that carbohydrates or that
Music?
intake.
Gonna have some music?
No, I don't. No, I
No.
don't need music. I don't even know when I'm doing the burpees yet. I'm still trying to figure that out.
Oh, okay.
And then after that, it'll be 20 sets of 50,
Yeah,
and
okay.
then we'll go for 20 sets of 25.
Awesome,
I
man.
think that is. I think that's the strategy.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I do it. I think I will do it because I've got a lot. There's been a lot of money being donated, so I'll have to
Yeah.
do it.
It's been good, eh? And
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm glad I got my little contribution
Yeah,
in there, but
thank you
it's
very
been
much.
good.
And thanks to everybody who's donated.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm just worried about potential injury. I've been feeling a tweaky shoulder, and my elbows have actually been like after that burpee routine from hell the other night. My elbows were in a bit of pain for the day after, so I'm worried about getting injured during the process, which I think is sorry, I think is inevitable. I think an
What
injury will occur. I don't know. I've just got this feeling. You
what
know
I what I
yourself,
what I don't want you to do is start talking about that rubbish, okay? No talking
right?
about inevitable injuries. Because soon as you start planting that seed in your head, you're going to, soon as you feel
Yeah.
a tweaky, a gammy shoulder, you're going to go, oh, I'm injured. Sorry, guys, I have to. And then you're going to do a 10.
No, no,
Don't
no,
do a
no,
10
no, no.
stretch on that
Listen, mate. Behave yourself. All right, just behave yourself. It's not
because you
happening, mate.
better not. Yeah.
I
Well,
can, I mean,
I'm just mentioning that now because I'm just listening to
no,
these, they're warning
I don't,
signs.
I don't do that stuff, mate. I will plow. Believe me, I've done stuff like this before with injuries. I'll go through it, mate. Don't worry about it.
Good, good.
Hopefully, I don't
Because
break a nail or something like
you
that.
will get an unfiltered rant, not like what 10 stretch go.
Mate, I'll delete my channel
Yeah,
and
so
I'll
yeah.
I'll change my phone number so you can't contact me anymore. And you'll need to get like Fitness Throttle in to be the new co-host or something
you
like that.
you'll block me off Instagram and everything. Yeah. So see, now
Blocked,
that's good.
mate,
I know that
blocked.
you'll finish it. But yeah, nah, don't go talking about injuries just because then you'll get injured. You will.
Nah, no, mate, I agree with you 100%. You're right. I was kind of just letting that one out there because it has been a thought in my mind. But I'm glad I get the Hotai,
Yeah, counsel.
the Hotai Great Elder Council, mate. But listen, mate, I'm going to have to wrap it up. It's been a pleasure speaking to you.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
always. It's always
I'm
a
back.
pleasure for you to
Back.
speak to
I'm
me.
back at work tomorrow. Yeah,
You're
it's always a
welcome.
pleasure, mate. It's always a pleasure. Absolutely. But that was a
Yeah,
great
true.
episode. Loved it, mate. Loved it.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you, my friend. You take care. Have a good night, and we'll connect again later. Well, on the next weekend, this coming
Yeah, but
weekend.
But Joe, I'm the
Mm.
host. I'll lead us out.
Oh, sorry. Yes, yes.
All right, mate. Get it right
Sorry,
next time.
sorry.
Come on, you. Anyway, guys, thanks very much for listening to the Move, Sweat and Suffer podcast with your host, Lee Hazard, who has been interviewing Move, Sweat and Suffer co-founder, Joe Hotai, Mr. Consistency, the man with the greatest barnet in the whole of the Southern Hemisphere, the hardest working man in the Burpee community. It's been an absolute pleasure. Tune in next week.
Brilliant. What an outro. Mate, you are a natural at this. And yes, it is
I'm a
absolutely
natural, mate.
your pleasure to be
Absolute
speaking
pleasure,
to me.
mate. You bastard.
We're keeping that in. See you, brother.
Laters.